You're listening to the Nonprofit State of Minds podcast, an Angel Oak Creative production.
Hey everybody, David Chatham with Angel Oak Creative. Welcome to the latest episode. We're in season 3 of the Nonprofit State of Minds podcast for Angel Oak Creative. Exciting to get to have all of these conversations with the nonprofit leaders. Everything from AI to zippity doodah. I mean, it's just, we've been all over the map. So we love having these conversations. And today we've got an interesting guest talking about an interesting topic of artificial intelligence. Sometimes I think I'm artificial intelligence, but it certainly doesn't always feel real to me. So welcome, Stephanie McKee, who is the chief technology thought leader at Aparo. Did I get that right, Stephanie?
Chief Technology Thought Partner.
Thought partner.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
pretty close.
Technology thought partner at Aparo. Um, so most people don't know what a chief technology thought partner probably does. And many of our folks probably don't know anything about Aparo, which I'm a big fan of. So would love to have you talk a little bit about both, if you would. Kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe tell us a little bit about Aparo and what it does in the nonprofit community.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me today, David.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. So I'm Stephanie McKee, the Chief Technology Thought Partner with Aparo. I've been with the organization for about 11 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been, I can't believe it's hard for me to imagine it's been that long, but it's been a great place to work. And so a little bit about myself. I'm from North Carolina. I currently live most of my time in Venice, Florida, but
Mm.
also I'm back in Charlotte quite a bit for work. Um, and kind of my professional background is I started out, gosh, I've been in technology, that's just hard to say, like 30 years. I graduated in 1994.
Okay. So
So,
you came around about the same time I did, and that was when email was just getting to be a big thing, right? So
oh yeah. In college, we're on the big mainframes. I went
yeah,
to Appalachian State
okay.
and graduated there, and then went into corporate. And I did a lot of started on the help desk, worked my way up to network engineer, and moved to Charlotte. Worked for a pretty large construction company, which, gosh, taught me a lot. Um, and then I started my own business, IT consulting, for about 13 years.
Wow.
And I had 7 or 8 customers I supported in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia.
Wow.
And that was fun. And then one day an email popped in my mailbox about this job in Aparo. And I always have enjoyed volunteering for nonprofits. So I immediately submitted my resume and got a call the next day. And anyway, the rest is history. And I decided to make the move to nonprofit space. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to work day to day and year after year with so many hundreds of nonprofits, sharing all the knowledge that I built from the time I got out of college. And so it's just been a wonderful experience. And a little bit about Aparo. So Aparo's been around, we're going on 22 years.
Mm.
We are what's considered a capacity building nonprofit. So we help other nonprofits in the community with most of our services are pro bono. So free or very low cost technology solutions we have a program called Tech Therapy, which we provide advice and guidance for free to nonprofits. So we're here to be those thought partners because most
Yeah.
nonprofits don't have someone on staff that's tech savvy, or they have an accidental tech person.
Huh.
Um, and then we also do a lot of free education for nonprofits. So we're here to be that resource for the nonprofit community.
Yeah. Now, I'm always just from the time I met you, which has only been met Aparo, has only been probably within the last year, maybe 2 years at the most, but have it have always been amazed at your the credibility of your partners and the technology partners that you bring to bear for nonprofits. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, so I would say our sweet sauce is that we use skilled volunteers from our community partners. And they're partners like Microsoft, Accenture, Bank of America, Duke Energy. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And they provide such amazing support, but both financially and with their skilled volunteers to help us expand our programs and be able to deliver what we do with a tight staff and bandwidth.
No, that's great. Yeah, it's just really impressive. Angel Oak has been able to participate as a partner with you all, and we've done a few of the cohort presentations around digital marketing and some of those things, and we've just had nothing but a positive experience. So I encourage people who are not familiar with Aparo to familiarize yourself with them and to see if it makes sense to create a relationship there, whether it's for your business or for your nonprofit. A little bit of an advertisement there. Well, we're here to talk about artificial intelligence. You know, I think AI, is often thought about, talked about. Um, you know, it's I think castigated, and I think it's certainly exalted in some people's minds. So, all across that spectrum. Talk about you all have created an AI playbook that is specifically for nonprofits. Um, Talk about that a little bit. How, what is the purpose? What's the mission of the AI playbook? And then a little bit about maybe how and why it came to be.
Sure. So I'm super excited about what we call the AI for Social Good playbook. I started working on that early last year, and a lot of it came out of just, through our tech therapy program, we were having conversations with nonprofits. I also lead a nonprofit IT leaders group in the community as well. And that's where there's full-time IT staff for some of the larger nonprofits. And the topic kept coming up about AI through our conversations and through my leaders group. So I decided to put together, there's just so much information out there. I just decided to put a more of a guideline, create a baseline and framework for nonprofits to think about, all collated in kind of I can't remember how many pages that, I think it's like 13 pages.
Yeah.
But it's all the information that touches on what is AI, what's the history, which the history of AI is very interesting. You would never think, like I didn't know this until I started really learning about AI a year ago, is whenever I was having a conversation with one of our board members at an event, and he's been in AI his entire career, which is like 30 plus years too.
Wow.
So AI has been around since the 50s. And then I started thinking back to, when I was working out of college, one of my first jobs was a textile company in Greensboro, and I would go out to our plants, and the plants were automated. And it just really interested me. And that's AI. I was like, wow, that was back in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I included some of the history in the playbook and things to think about. Because when a nonprofit's adopting or thinking about adopting AI, it really needs to come from the top down. Leadership needs to be able to adopt it
Yeah.
to make it feasible. So I've created like a what to look at around AI strategy and adoption, what to do to get ready for AI, use cases to think about. I mean, I think AI can be a game changer for nonprofits because I call it a productivity tool. A lot of people are scared that AI is going to take over jobs, but I think it only for, especially nonprofit, it's going to help save us time because we all run very lean
Yeah.
staff. And so it talks about AI strategy. It's important to have policies in place, user awareness, and also goes in to talk about ethics and challenges and privacy. And then we talk some about the key to AI success is prompt engineering.
Tell us about prompt engineering. I've played around with AI a little bit. And in fact, I think I told you that, I actually some of the questions I've generated for you were generated by Chat GPT.
Mhm.
And trying to take advantage of that technology. And I found it to be, a great asset in generating ideas and creating content and helping to brainstorm, everything from campaign names for nonprofits to, strategy and all of those things. And it's at least in my eyes, it's imperfect in the sense that it doesn't get it everything that I would like. It doesn't get it to the way that I would like it, but it gets it 75% of the way there, right? And really helps me to be more efficient and to do those things. So, for a nonprofit who is considering this, before we jump into kind of prompts and some of those things, talk about just the bigger picture of why should a nonprofit today even consider AI as a tool?
Well, I'll go back to what I said a few minutes ago. It's, um, I believe, productivity and creating efficiencies with whether it's automation or using, Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT, one of the AI tools, to create your thank you letters to donors or helping you write a grant.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a ton of time. I've just recently, I'll share just a little
Yeah.
experience I had last week. I'm on a board in Venice, Florida for a youth selling program, and we were writing a grant. I've never written a grant before, but I volunteered to help the executive director, and we she wrote most of it, and there was a couple of questions that we were a little uncertain about, and I was like, let's take that question and just be very generic and let's use Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and let's see what it comes back with. And we were just both in awe, totally amazed because our brains were thinking something different. So it's like we had a blank page here.
Yeah.
And once we put this very detailed prompt in, and we're like, hey, Copilot, can you help us create a summary to this question? This is our mission, this is what we do, and XYZ. We didn't put any of our personal information, like what
Yeah.
nonprofit we are. It was just very generic. And it came back with this incredible answer. Now we had to go in and edit it, of
Sure.
course, and make sure that that's another important thing when you're asking AI. You always want to review the answers, the outcomes that it gives you,
Yep.
because sometimes they're not always true.
That's right.
So, so yeah, we were just fascinated. So that was my short story on my first time doing grant writing.
That's fun.
But
Well,
yeah, it's there's so many ways that like I create policies, like technology policies.
mhm,
You can go and say, create an AI policy for my nonprofit organization, and it
yeah,
does it in 30 seconds. Well, that would take me probably a week to create.
yeah.
So,
And we did exactly that for Angel Oak. We created an AI, but we started there, and then we had professionals review it to make sure that it was,
yeah.
a reasonably solid, approach. But yeah, that's it's pretty amazing. If a nonprofit is considering bringing this in, what considerations should they have, before they make that decision? Is it for every nonprofit, out there? Are there particular nonprofits that it may be better suited for, or kind of how would you help them to make that determination?
Well, because everyone may not view my perspective as
Well,
like
you're the
fair,
expert right now, so don't.
but
Yeah.
I have so much excitement around AI and the time savings it can give. Like, I think all nonprofits should, test it out, determine what their use cases are.
Hmm.
And I think it's really important, like what we've done at Aparo is we've created a AI user awareness training.
Mm-hmm.
So, we share all the important aspects of AI, and that's going to be something that we continue to do
Yeah.
on a regular cadence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all nonprofits, not every job role, I think
Right.
can utilize it, but I think there are a lot of use cases, whether you're a small nonprofit or you're a large one, to be able to utilize AI in some fashion or another.
Maybe especially if you're a small nonprofit, right? Because to your point, it's another capacity builder, at least from what I have experienced. It's like having another team member who can churn out content and other things in a rapid pace, right? So,
Yeah, I think we recently had an AI workshop in partnership with Share Charlotte.
oh yeah.
It was a half-day workshop, and we did an overview of AI. And then we did breakout sessions and had it was a really cool escape room on prompting. So nonprofits got to work in groups. And then we had a panel discussion as well where nonprofits could ask questions around AI. And we had a couple of our corporate partners that are experts in AI join us. And they just gave such a great perspective. And the nonprofits, one of their biggest concerns is just being sort of intimidated by it
Yeah.
and not feeling comfortable about using it. And, then you hear all this privacy and ethical stuff.
Yeah.
So, those are big questions that came about. But in all, the next day, we, in partnership with, oh, let's see, let me remember here. We had 9 nonprofits and
Wow.
like 50 volunteers
Oh
come
wow.
in, and it was another half day, what we called AI Art of the Possible.
Hmm.
So we had, let's see, it was Honeywell. Gosh, I can't remember the other two partners. Maybe I'll think about it in a minute.
It's okay.
Um, but we all came together and broke out into groups, and each nonprofit got to work with a group of volunteers from the community to talk about their use cases and how they could use AI. And the volunteers helped build out prompts for them. So they had
Hmm.
that takeaway. And they also received a copy of the AI playbook as a
Hmm.
reference too. So it was really cool to see how that, even one of the nonprofits that was at both of our events, she always working with their group the second day. And she's like, I was so scared of AI until I came yesterday and today and went through this process. And now I'm so excited of all
Mm.
the possibilities that where our organization can utilize it.
Where where does that fear come from, you think? What is that fear of what you think that maybe be a barrier for some nonprofits? What
I
is
think it's just not because you hear so much out there in the news about AI and just not knowing, you know, going to ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. You have to figure out, you have to log in. And there's all these privacy concerns and about not inputting personal data or donor data or things like that you have
Yeah,
to be aware of. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the can AI actually replace jobs? In some aspect, like customer service, these big customer service call centers you're seeing where AI
yeah,
is coming in place when you call in somewhere.
yeah,
That I don't see that for nonprofits. I just see it as an advantage to be able to help increase their capacity.
yeah. One of the concerns we've had expressed from our clients is to ensure the ability to maintain privacy and to not expose potentially personal data or any of those kinds of things. Is that it seems like that's a real concern. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's going back to once you decide to adopt AI is the staff awareness training and making
Hmm.
sure they understand what is okay to input into these AI models and what's
Okay.
you definitely don't like even when you're prompting, you can write a very detailed prompt and it'd be very generic to your organization. Like,
Yeah.
I don't put a PAR's name in there. I put, we
Mm.
are a nonprofit that provides pro bono technology support. And I'm looking to create a job description for a programs director.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Okay.
So just being conscious of not putting in personal donor data, staff data, social security numbers, all
Yeah.
those personal identifiers, driver's license, things like that.
Right.
Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of those bad actors, hackers out there that um, are grabbing data all the time, as we know and see in the news.
Right. Well, the uh, for us, one thing we did was we went ahead and invested in a subscription of a Teams approach. And that apparently, from what my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, does give you another level of kind of security or privacy in the sense that they don't take any of the things that they do, like in the free version, and use it for training of the AI or any of that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, with the Microsoft specifically, and Google also does this, and ChatGPT in the paid version. But Microsoft, they have, if you're on Microsoft 365,
Okay.
you have those licenses. They have the Bing Enterprise. It used to be called um, Bing Chat, but they
Hmm.
changed everything to Bing Enterprise or Copilot.
Yeah.
So the paid version for Microsoft Copilot integrates with your Microsoft 365, like all your internal data,
Oh, wow.
where you can use AI like an email. Like I use a lot, and we have them paid Copilot licenses. Now at Aparo that we've been testing out, and I use it a lot for translation of Teams meetings.
Hmm.
And it takes the notes for me and it summarizes everything. So I don't have to sit here and take my focus away, typing in notes while I'm
Yep.
talking.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it does a really good job with helping you draft things within Word or create PowerPoint presentations. But even the free version, if you've got the Microsoft 365 licenses, it keeps your data private
Hmm.
to some extent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think just understanding what those different levels are and having an awareness of that is helpful for everybody, especially nonprofits who might be concerned about privacy or any of those things of their data. So just making sure people do that. And um, what's the first step a nonprofit should take if they want to begin to test AI? What does that look like? Who should they call? Aparo? Should they call, somebody else, or should they just go online, download ChatGPT? What would you recommend is that first step to explore AI for a nonprofit?
Yeah, definitely a few things. Apario is here to help. And we do have, if you go out to our website, at the bottom of our homepage, you can sign up for a newsletter.
Hmm.
We do free webinars every month, and we've got a lot of focus on AI. We also have AI cohorts
Hmm.
that we're kicking off very soon this year.
Oh, that's great.
So that's another option. We're building out 4 workshops, webinars around AI, and it's
Okay.
going to be overview of AI, how you can maximize your productivity. We're going to talk about privacy and ethics, and then AI strategy and adoption. So, another thing, there's a lot of AI readiness tools out there, and
Okay.
AI has become built into all these different CRMs that we use, our Google platforms, our Microsoft. So there's readiness tools out there that you can take to see if your organization is
Mm,
ready for it. It kind of gives, it's like a maturity model.
yeah.
R is actually working on more of a generic AI readiness at an organizational level, not like an application level.
Yeah.
So that should be ready hopefully in the next couple of months
Oh,
for
that'll be great.
profits to be able to utilize for free. But having
And obviously, people.
conversations.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, reach out. You can also fill out our form, our tech therapy form, if you would like to connect with us and have a conversation.
Mm,
Our AI playbook is on our website as well. That's free for all.
yeah.
So please go out there and take a look at it. It gives you a good starting point of what adopting AI looks like.
Talked a little bit about how to get started, a little bit about some of the use case and all. What's next? What's the future for nonprofits with AI? How far can this go? Where do you see it heading?
That's a really good question, David. I
So
think it's so new,
I
and
know, right?
I know for me and the tech therapy team, we've been trying to learn as much as possible, and just I just finished writing a white paper on I'm calling the 3 Ps of AI,
Okay.
and that's privacy, productivity, and prompting.
Okay.
So that'll be ready to share once our marketing does their magic on it.
Yeah.
But back to your question, yeah, I think AI is going to evolve, and it's evolving very rapidly. And I think the more nonprofits that get on board and really start experimenting with it and finding out, figuring out their use cases and start learning prompt engineering and what works and what doesn't work. Because it's
Yeah.
all, as I say in my white paper, it's trial and error. Is
Yeah.
what, I learn every day just, playing around with Microsoft Copilot and ChatGPT. Um, so yeah, I think it's just going to evolve, and nonprofits, in the next year plus are really going to start adopting it, and they're starting to feel comfortable. And APAR is really helping to educate,
Yeah.
as well as there's a lot of education out there that Microsoft's doing, and some of the other partners. There's a lot of resources in the AI playbook as well for education resources. So I
Good.
just welcome, all nonprofits to go out and take a look at the playbook, and it gives you just a good guide um, to how adopt and to grow with AI.
Yeah. So it's not just a fad. This isn't the next fidget spinner or pet rock, I guess, is what you're saying.
I don't think so. Yeah, I definitely think it's here to stay, and I think it's going to just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. Well,
My
I
hopes.
yeah, I've been amazed at, I mean, hopefully it doesn't take over the world and we end up in the Terminator land, but you know, but I'm hoping we're all smart enough to figure that part out. Um, where can people go to get the playbook if they would like to get their hands or their eyes on the AI playbook?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, it's www.aparo.org, and you click on the blog button,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a search feature. Just type in playbook, and
Okay.
it'll pop right up.
Yep. And a paro, for those who are listening, is Apparo. I, for some reason, want to put two R's in there for every time I write it. So it's Apparo
Yes.
and .com. And be sure to check that out. I get the newsletter and I recommend it. It's great. Be sure to follow them on social media as well. There's a lot of great tips and a lot of great things that they share. All of the events are on there. So as you can tell, I'm a fanboy of Aparo and appreciate
Thank you.
all the work that you do. You mentioned ethics a couple of times. Can you talk about that a little bit? I know we talked about privacy and some of those things, but are there other ethical considerations to have as far as AI goes, or maybe any technology?
Yeah, a lot of ethical challenges is around biased data. Just like, just think of humans being biased. It's the
Mm.
same with the AI models. There's
Can you
transparency, and
Can you
then
talk about that bias just a little bit more? And I've seen it firsthand as I've played around with it. But talk about that, just maybe what that looks like, if you would.
yeah, and I'll just to give a little background text. I think a lot of the AI tools, like Microsoft's Copilot and Google, they've started putting into place what they call fairness tools that helps with assessing the learning models for biased data, which I
Hmm.
think is really good. And a lot of just for my research, I feel like a lot of the biased data is coming from the back end, like more the development of the AI tools. Like
Yeah,
some of um, generic, metrics and data is not getting into the learning models fully. And so when you're using them to evaluate metrics to verify the outcomes, you're some of the data is I would say some's in the training data and some's testing data.
yeah.
And so I think that's become a challenge there.
Mm.
I know a good example of bias would be, um, sorry, lost my
Oh,
train of
you're
thought
fine.
here.
You're good.
It's like rural communities having digital access. So
Mm,
if your beneficiaries are in more urban areas, the rural areas are not being represented in the
mm,
learning models,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does.
So I think there's a lot of different examples out there.
Yeah,
So it's interesting, and it's something that I do a lot of research on it and just trying to understand like
yeah.
how and why. It is, but I think it's going to get better. I was just reading a good article Microsoft put together recently about where they've built in this fairness tool,
Okay.
and it's really helping to assess and mitigate the risk of bias. And I think a lot of these recruiting firms
Yeah.
are more apt to see bias because it's going
Mm,
out and scraping social media,
right.
job applicants, and
Mm,
the searches, if they're searching for particular eth ethnicity group or males versus females.
right.
So you see that quite a bit of that out there.
Yeah. And I think just people understanding that there's the possibility that it exists too, just being aware of that and again, just like you might check the accuracy of some copy or some content, being able to, test the bias there a little bit and just say, does this make sense or is it, playing favorites in some way? So, um,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that from my experience has been helpful. Um, any last words about AI that you would want to make sure people hear, nonprofits hear? Most of our listeners are executive directors, development directors. They probably have their own questions, but what would you tell them if they come up to you at the next Aparo event and say, we're thinking about AI. What do what do you think?
Well, I would say if you, I would definitely start, um, I would say playing with it, just testing it out. Um, get a copy of our AI playbook because it gives you a lot of examples of prompts
Yeah,
that you can start using and that are relatable to our nonprofit work. And I always share with nonprofits that it's very important to one of the ethical concerns is transparency.
yeah,
There is false data that comes back in your
yeah,
outcome and the responses that are given from the learning models. So you really have to read that data. Like if you are running a grant or you're creating a program, go through that. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have to go and edit it.
yeah,
But as I always like to say too, AI is great when you're looking at a blank Word document and you're trying to figure out how to kickstart whatever you're creating.
yeah,
And that's where I utilize AI a lot to just get my brain started.
yeah,
And it gives me a lot of good ideas to think about that I can go in and put in my own words to
yeah.
create the outcome that I want. And if any, nonprofits listening are interested in talking with me directly,
Mhm.
you can reach me via our website if you go to aparo.org. And then I think it's under About and then it's Staff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Stephanie McKee. You just click connect with me and it'll send me an email that you want to connect with me. I'll be happy
Nice.
to um, set up time to meet with you.
And I know you're on LinkedIn too. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely connect
Out
with me
there.
on
Okay.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yep. My favorite platform.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a huge social media person. People are always like, you're a technology professional. I'm like, well, I'm
Right.
very private too. But LinkedIn is my favorite platform. So I'm out there every day pretty much.
Well, good. Well, good. Well, Stephanie, thank you for all you're doing and Aparo is doing to make the nonprofit sector more successful, more productive. Thank you for the AI playbook. I think it's a great tool and one that people should definitely look into. I think to your point, I think we're still in the early stages of AI exploration and folks who start now I think are going to benefit from it for a long time to come. So that's my bias in in this, but thank you so much for your time and for the resources and your contribution. So we appreciate that greatly.
Thank you, David. This has been fun.
Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it hasn't been painful. That's good.
No,
Uh,
thanks for having me. I always love talking about AI and sharing what I've learned so far. I still have a lot more to learn.
Well, we all do, and you all are a great resource for education and conversation about this. So I encourage everybody to check out Apparo, APPRO, and Stephanie McKee, MCKEE, and be sure you do that. And then we would love to have you listen to some more of our podcasts on the various platforms that are out there. If you found this one, you can find the other ones. And we've had some great leaders. We actually interviewed Kim, who is your CEO of Apparo, a year or so ago, and she was a great conversation as well. So we're grateful for that. So thank you so much, and look forward to staying in touch.